two levies on the ballot this year in Big Sky for the school district. One is a general fund levy, and that is so where the state of Montana will allow you to go to your maximum allowable budget, but only with the permission of your local constituent taxpayer. So how it works in Montana is you have your count, and then due to the equalization, which was Senate Bill 2 in 1986, I think, due to equalization, every student in every community is worth the exact same amount of money. And that's 80%, so that's called your base, and that's 80% of this maximum. So from there are some add-ons we can make that the state also funds, and that takes you to your overbase, and then the amount between your overbase and your maximum, the local constituents have to approve. So in our case, we're asking for $40,000. We think that's probably going to be closer to 32 as a draw, 28 to 32 as a draw. So one thing that we gamble with here in Big Sky is how many students are going to be coming to us from Madison County. We have to make some kind of a prediction on that. If we didn't, then this number would be much higher. But once we knew what that number of students showing up, it would just get reduced in our tax draw. Does that make sense? So that number is increasing every year. As most people probably know a little bit, those students who live in Moonlight, Yellowstone Club, the resort area, anywhere across the Madison County line, probably not that far from your house, really, are actually in the Ennis tax school district, but there are students by state law. So it's an odd thing. And then the second one is the building reserve levy, and we're seeking this in order to partner with Habitat for Humanity to build teacher and staff housing right here on our campus. And broken down, so it's exactly what I said it was, used for. So at $40,000, that's an increase of approximately 1.39 mils. And the need for a general fund is, we're really growing quickly here in Big Sky. Our staffing has almost doubled in the last 8 years. Our student population has grown 110% in the last 15 years. And so really this is going directly to personnel services. So there's the tax implications for the general fund levy, again, at a $40,000 collection. These go into effect, and they stay in effect in perpetuity, this increase does. So on $1 million, it's $1.57 a month. So the factor is, $18.80. At $200,000, which is really not that great of an example unless you just have a bare piece of property, that's the increase in mills. And so the interesting thing about the Ennis situation is this kind of a increase, if we had their tax base, this would be closer to this. The mill value is that much less. The value. Hi. Hi. So then the second levy that we have on the ballot this year is the building reserve levy. That's a typo. The building reserve levy, it's in the amount of $600,000. This is a 5-year levy. So generally you would find building reserve levies in the state of Montana reserved for if we needed a new roof, if we needed boilers, for long-term maintenance of your facility. The reason we've chosen to use a building reserve levy in this is because it's not a big enough amount to go for a full bond. So it's paid back in a 5-year time period. A full bond has to be at least 10 years. Generally, it's more than 20, and you have to take that through the Board of Investments in the state of Montana. So that's going to result in a mill increase of 4.18. And it's really pretty simple. The purpose of this is to partner with Habitat for Humanity to build staff housing on our campus. We're currently at a third of our teachers staff commuting to beyond the mouth of the canyon, a third of our teaching staff renting locally, and a third of our teaching staff owning locally or regionally being as far away as Belgrade. So, there's some people represented here who also are represented here. But at the end of the day, this third and this third are really at risk of seeking employment somewhere else due to the housing situation here in Big Sky. And, the renting situation for local staff, and this is even old data now, we have teachers who are their first, second year out of college who have student loan debt, who are just trying to start their lives and start their way in the world. And, they're paying $1,000 a month for a room in a condo with a bathroom, and sometimes with the bathroom that price goes up to $1,200, and shared common areas. We have one teacher, they pay up to $1,350 for a super studio, which is a studio apartment with a small bedroom. And yesterday I looked on the Big Sky community housing Facebook page, and there was one room in a condo with a bathroom, $1,250 a month, and it had a number of responses already for people wanting to jump on that immediately. In the additional rent challenges, not only is it expensive and there's an inventory problem, there's very few long-term rentals available in the community, and the unpredictability. I could articulate 3 times in the last 15 months where a teacher has been sitting across the desk from me in tears because their landlord showed up on October 1st and said, you need to be out November 1st, the place is going on the market. And this is, creates a lot of very stressful situation for teachers who are wanting to, come to work and do their best for our students on a day in and day out basis. So the real purpose is, it's to recruit and retain staff. This is a really desirable location for people to live. And the school is a really good school to teach in. We have resources, we have great families, we have great colleagues. And through the recruiting, 95% of that process, it's really easy for me because people want to be here and they want to be in the community. It's that 5% of time when they start to look around and see, well, where am I going to live? And even with the many connections that we try to network with to put teachers or new recruits in touch with somebody who they can live with, they back out. We have at least 1 to 2 top recruits every year back out, and even sometimes they want it so much they wait and they wait and they wait until the last minute and then just say, I can't take the contract. We know our commuting teachers average 3 to 4 years in the district, and renting teachers, that's teachers who are renting in the community, are less than in a similar time frame. 3 to 4 years, that's not that long when we're really looking at how do we build programming, how do we consistently teach our kids year in, year out. And this is the tax implication for this $600,000. So on $1 million home, it's $4.70 a month. And I don't know if I address it here. So the board's process really was this. They recognized, it's a bigger community need. This is everywhere in all media that comes in Big Sky. This is a really hot topic. So the board recognized an organizational need that was part of a bigger community need, found a valuable and willing partner in Habitat for Humanity to be able to build for, astronomically low prices, and then to have at least a rental pool for our employees. So the tax implication is this. However, the state does allow us to collect the revenue from a rental and pay that down quicker, and that'll fully be the board's intent, will be to anything above and beyond the maintenance costs, will be to pay that note down as quickly as possible.
Does that increase in perpetuity as well?
No, that's 5 years. 5 years. So in 5 years, that note's paid off. So we have, just as a broad kind of tax picture, or the school's tax footprint, in the next 6 years to 7 years, we have approximately 6.5, just south of 7 million coming off of the tax rolls. And then the election timeline, this date is already passed. That was the date you could pick up an absentee ballot. The ballots were mailed yesterday. I'm assuming they arrived today. They hadn't yesterday. Does anybody have that information from the post office?
I just heard from a friend that lives behind the school here that she received hers today.
Okay, so the ballots arrived today. And then those are due back to Gallatin County Election Office by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, May 7th. And we won't, it's really key that I make this clear, we don't collect the ballots here at school. That's against the law. Unless we advertise that we're going to. And then, so again, we have the partnership with Habitat for Humanity, and Habitat CEO Dave Magistrelli is here to kind of present a little more on the project. And we'll take questions after that.
We're recording it, so let me move that closer, and I'm going to stand on this side. Being left-handed, I do things opposite. We're really excited about being able to join with Big Sky School because from our work here in Gallatin County since 1991, we know that housing is a big critical issue for wage earners. And having met Dustin and talked about the need for the school, we've been able to come up with a design that we feel can meet their needs and be also very reasonably constructed. Our design is really a triplex. We have 3 units in there. Each unit is going to be a little over 1,000 square foot with the garage. It's a 2-bedroom unit with 1 bath, an open dining room, kitchen room, living room area, powder room or a mud room, and the laundry facilities are also included in that square foot area. Each unit will have a patio in the back with a little dormer over it, and then there will be a dormer over in the front entranceway, and then the garage attached to it. Conceptually, it's really a simple design, small square footage, but we're going to have a vaulted ceiling inside, and that will allow the perception of having more space. And then from an exterior perspective, this is our conceptual design. We know that the HOA requires some earth-toned color, so we're going with something that's going to blend into the area. We have an application that we're submitting with Northwestern Energy for solar panels to help cut down on the use of fossil fuels. Our homes are going to be tightly built. We're using SIP panels as the exterior walls, which will give us a high R rating. And we have energy efficient appliances and hot water tanks installed so that we believe that this will be very economically feasible for the renters. Our cost projections at this time, based on some specific quotes that we've gotten and on historical data that we pulled together, it's going to run us about $135 a square foot. One of the main reasons that we can bring it down to that cost is we use volunteers. We already have some groups lined up to come on out. We have gotten contacts out into the Big Sky community about coming down and volunteering to help with the construction. We have our regular volunteer crew that is very good at using SIP panels, putting up SIP panels. They will come down and put up the SIP panels on the exterior walls for us and help us with the trusses, and then we'll go forward from that point on. We do contract out the plumbing, the excavation, and the concrete work, and then work with an electrician who's certified to do the electrical work. Although we can pull the wires on that, but the actual sign-off on that will come from a certified electrician. So that's how we're able to do that. The other factor that comes into play is that there's no markup on any of these products that we purchase. We are not building this to earn any money. I mean, we don't build homes to earn money. We build homes to get people into the homes that they can afford. And so other than our own operating expenses, there's no added profit marked up on any of the products, on any of the material that's brought in to be used on this other than the contractors. And generally, the contractors give us a pretty good deal, so we're very confident that we can bring this in at that price. With approval, if the levy passes, we hope to start building middle to late May and shooting for the end of October to have it completed. So, welcome to come on down, take a look at any of the pictures if you want, and be glad to answer any questions you might have. Yes.
It's just about regulatory or stipulations on housing, just being kind of familiar with Habitat for Humanity as we offer, and maybe this is more for you, as we offer these homes, will it be a charge per person that occupies that home? Will two roommates be able to share this home? Will it be single person occupancy? How have we designed it?
So the question was, who's going to have these homes, and then what's that rent going to be based on that price? So Habitat's model, and feel free to jump in anytime, it's to build things and then turn ownership over to somebody else. So the district, it will become the triplexes will become a district asset. The board still, I have a small committee put together that's ready to go to work as soon as the levy passes, and it's going to be somewhat based on your income. So we know that the national indicator to have a healthy personal economic budget is about 25% of your take home or 25% of your gross going towards rent and 30% for housing. They're going to be well below that, but that's going to be kind of the area that we talk about with that. And certainly if two people want to move in together, that will be another factor. We have lots of models in the state of schools who have built and then rent back to their employees. The difference being they're in areas that have a lot higher revenue. It's oil country. And they built theirs to make their community more desirable for a teacher, because they're really not in places that most people want to move to. And, we're kind of doing it to make our community more livable for our teachers. But yeah, to answer your question, the biggest thing is going to be deciding what that factor is. And then I think the other challenging piece of that is going to be who, especially at the very beginning.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
The application process.
Yeah, so
Is that fair and equitable?
it'll be as fair and equitable as we can possibly make it, knowing that there is going to be disappointment at first. So how the funding's going to unfold, and that's probably an important thing to talk about. So the $600,000 that the district is asking for it's going to encompass all the design, all the applications, and all the infrastructure for 2 triplex units, and the structure of one that's finished. Habitat is paralleling this with an ask to resort tax through Habitat to build the second structure, just materials. And from our informal conversations, it seems like they're supportive. So that would change, that would give us 6 units that are usable, not in the same time frame, but 6 units within 12 months. But we have May 7th, and we're almost ready to go with permitting and everything else. We're just waiting. Hi, Whitney.
How many triplexes is there space for total, in goal?
Well, yeah, if we were really aggressive about just faculty housing on our property, a lot.
Space for
Yeah, we have 29 acres here on our space. As soon as you drive out to the right, it's really all kind of open. There's some utilities and things. We could build a lot back there as far as housing goes, if that's what the board chose to do with that property.
And the first one, will it be back that way?
Yeah, so it's just to the right as you exit our driveway and up near I don't even know what that is, that border of our property up there. But below there's a fairly significant bank there, below that, and we were really conscientious with the architects to make them very low profile because we want to be as good a neighbors as we can.
You were saying something about the solar panels?
Mhm.
Is that for just electricity only, or you can use it for hot water? Hot water?
It will be electric. The whole unit's going to be electric. So even the hot water tank's going to be electric. So, and we're looking at it for 5 kW per unit, which should be sufficient for a 1,000 square foot unit. So,
So we investigated the similar house that Habitat built in Whitehall, not quite the same climate as far as cold and snow, but the lady who took ownership of that was able to just buy like a plug-in heater for her garage and heat the garage and still operate at the Northwest minimum of $4 a month. And we feel confident about the grant through Northwestern Energy too. They're big supporters of Habitat as well as big supporters of, well, we have solar in our elementary school through a grant, so they're aware of our efforts. Well, we look forward to you participating in the election, and thanks for coming out tonight.
come on down, take a look at the pictures.